The dealer panel discusses the subject of sales personnel.
Now, all this, as you know, there are any number of ways you can compensate your salesman. Straight salary, straight commission, draw against commission, straight commission with guarantee, salary plus commission, profit-sharing plans. First of all, let's find out which of these systems you use and why you favor it. Earl, how do you compensate your salesman?
Well, being that I'm more or less new in heavy sales end of it, I tried originally a base salary plus a 2% commission, and then also give them a few extra bucks on dogs that I wanted to get out of the store itself. But since then, I've changed it to a straight guaranteed salary. I mean, guaranteeing the serviceman a good base salary, whether he's sick or not. If he should be off with any type of flu or sickness, he still has that guaranteed annual salary. And
you said serviceman. Did you mean serviceman?
Salesman. And then I also consider servicemen salesmen. So we compensate. I've instituted a 1% commission to all servicemen on direct leads that result in sales, that are sales, not on just leads that don't pan out. Then also another thought that I've had that maybe the board could kick around, because I'm thinking of instituting it. I never have tried anything like it, but I'm thinking of paying the salesmen where they're working on a guaranteed base like they are. There's actually very little incentive there, in a sense, which they could tear apart. So say that we're shooting for a certain gross profit. Anything that is made above that, I've thought of an idea of reimbursing back to the salesman a certain percentage of it to get them to shoot for the higher dollar on an appliance. And I was wondering what the board thinks about it, if they think it would work out or if there's any pitfalls to it, actually. It would give me a bigger margin of profit, which would increase my, actually my monetary value to coming back to me, so that even a smaller percentage of it.
Someone have experience along those lines? Could
We have originally started out on commissions, but we find through the years, and you have your older salesmen, we have found that most of these salesmen prefer more security and a salary. They know what they're going to get, and they've actually already proven themselves as to their ability and what they can do. And you'll find most of your salesmen, whether on commission, why, will earn about the same amount. And of course, there again, it's a different situation in a small town where all your salesmen know most of the people, and there's always a question on whose customer it is, and it takes away dissatisfaction. We have found a contest among salesmen. Their sales, with the better salesman having a little higher quota, has really paid off. I mean, that's when they work. And we make it a point to conduct these contests maybe several times during the year for different seasons.
Sherm, I believe you had your hand up.
Well, he said dollar sales, that is higher price merchandise or higher margins?
No, higher margins. Say that, Sherm, that if I would set a 30% margin on my appliances over and above my cost. Now, say if the salesman over a period of the year, or break it into a 6-month span, if they would work and try to maintain it and, say, gross a 32% margin, give them a percentage of that extra 2% above my gross that I actually have.
You ought to have something to get them out of that.
Are you thinking, Earl, about staying on just a standard wage, or are you thinking about that?
No, keeping the standard wage. I mean, the base salary.
Additional commission set up.
And then having something as an added incentive for them to shoot to get more profit for me.
We started out years ago with just a commission on the gross sale. And, of course, we found that that's a very simple way to pay commissions. But, of course, most dealers that are on that system, they adjust to a lower commission when the gross profit is shorter. And now, on the system we're on now, we pay 15% on our gross profit. Of course, that automatically adjusts to the lowers the commission as you lower the gross profit. And that is a real simple way of doing it as far as the bookkeeping end of it goes. I think it's important that we keep the bookkeeping simple.
Well, I mean, maybe there you have a larger staff, but I'm thinking of a medium-sized store similar to mine, to where well, actually, I have 2 salesmen besides myself. Now, it would be very simple for me to take and figure my gross profit on a 6-month basis, and if it's above what I've set as a goal, take and pour back a percentage of that to them for their extra. It'll give them a chance to work extra hours to shoot for that higher dollar. When a customer comes in and he's really horse trading, they're going to still try to hold out to get above that margin of profit that I've set on that appliance.
You mean to tell me it's only you fellas? And you see you laughing because I understand you pay your salesman on a basis depending on what your profit is. As your percentage of profit goes up, the salesmen make more.
Sure.
Now, what
He's a better
happens to-
salesman.
What happens to the little old lady in the shawl?
Well, we take care of her, too.
Yes, you sure do.
We
She
give-
pays you your overhead.
We give her an honest dollar value for every piece of merchandise we sell.
Yes, but how about you mean to tell me two different people coming into your store on two different times or encountering two different salesmen pay different prices for the same piece of merchandise?
Could be.
Isn't that dishonest?
What are we going to do? Be like the doctor, charge just what the market will bear or the person can stand?
Mort, can I ask you a question?
No.
If a customer come in and offered to pay you list price for an appliance with no bargaining whatsoever, would you sell it?
I would not. I would sell it at the price everybody else paid.
Let's get back, gentlemen, to discussing compensation plans. Something you mentioned to me in the past few days, offhand, George. What other incentives do you use to attract the type of man you want on your sales force?
I'm glad you asked that, John. We have added to our a percentage of the gross profit by adding a retirement plan. We put quite a little bit. It's actually 4% of the salesman's gross pay in to retirement, and this we've found gives us a whole lot better chance of hanging on to our employee rather than giving him a real big commission and then at the end of the year, if things fall off, of course, you haven't got anything. But by building this reserve in this retirement plan, I think that it tends to make your employee more stable. Also, we have a vacation plan, of course, and we also have Blue Cross hospitalization and that type of thing.
Do you take it out of your profits, George, or out of his pay?
Ours is a profit-sharing plan. And
So
so long as we make a profit, well, we pay this 4% in. We make a substantial profit.
You found that through your experience, that type of incentive is becoming a necessary thing to attract
I
the
think
type
so.
of man.
I think so. By giving a salesman a whole lot of money doesn't make him a loyal salesman.
Let's talk about the type of man you want. Mort, what would you look for when you go out to hire a salesman? What do you want? What do you expect of him?
Well, first, I'd want a mature man who was able to take direction, probably not too young, between maybe 25 and 45, but I wouldn't draw the line at 45. But younger than that, I don't think inspires confidence in our customers that buy the type of equipment that we sell. I'd want a man in good health. I want a man that had confidence. I'd certainly want a man that was enthusiastic and liked the business. Above all, if I'd leave for one characteristic, it would be a man who can get along with people. Every successful salesman I ever knew, he was successful if he could get along with people. And I'd want him to be ambitious, want to make money, hungry I would call him, without outside interests or investments, or I hope that his wife wouldn't work, so that he would have the incentive to want to make money and grow with our organization.
You believe there's such a thing as a self-starter?
I'm afraid not. I think most salesmen need motivation. Their paycheck motivates them, contests motivate them, competition between themselves motivate them, and it takes a lot of constant training and constant motivating in different ways. One day I may coax them, another day I may pat them on the back, another day I may really give them hell. But by varying that technique and varying it to suit the different temperaments, all our men aren't alike, I can get out of them a pace that I don't think that they would maintain themselves.
Kurt, how do you supervise salesmen?
Well, actually, in supervision to salesmen, I think it's got to be a close control, even though they are on a commission or whether they're on a salary or whatever it might be, because salesmen have a tendency to take and go to any direction they want to go at any given time, because they feel like that if they're free to go and do as they please. That's the reason that most people are salesmen. Martin was talking about down here a minute ago that they had to be, there were not self-starters. Well, actually, if a man is a self-starter, 90% of the time he'll be in business for himself. So in supervising salesmen, I found that you have to stay close with them and work with them and to actually keep a sales force informed, and then you'll have better salesmen.
We all agreed on this panel that you need training of sales personnel. How do you go about training your personnel?
Well, first we take advantage of all of the aids that the different factories make available to us. They come out and we have sales meetings, at which time we take and present a product. We tear that product apart, take it and show it, and to present it. We found that if we present the product, if we know the story of what the product will do for the customer, and the salesman knows that, then he can make the sale a lot easier.
Stan, does that fit in with your line of thinking?
I think he's absolutely right on knowing the product. There is some disagreement on how much a salesman should know about the product and technical aspect, but first of all, in getting a salesman, you've got to have a fellow that has the aptitude to be a salesman under close supervision and training, regular sales meetings, and so forth. You usually come out pretty well with him. There is some, however you compensate him has a lot to do with it. He's got to be able to make a good living if he's going to be on your side of the fence and work for you. And there are different methods according to the different localities of how this can be done. It's a varied type of thing, and in each circumstance it's a little different. But we hold regular sales meetings with ours. We have factory representatives that come in from time to time, and we let the salesman know as much about the product as it takes to sell the product. But there is a fallacy if he knows too much, and that is that he gets service-minded instead of sales-minded.
Tom?
Well, on salesmen, I like to delegate responsibility to each salesman, make him feel that he is part of the organization. Now, in making a buy on, we'll say, a quantity of TV or washers or dryers, I always get them in. If I make the buy and then bring it in and they think they're forced to sell it, but if they help me buy it, then there's no problem moving it.
I think that's important, what Tom mentions there. Another thing that is covered at these meetings, we have at least one good meeting a week, and that is communications. The salesman sort of advises you on what his problems have been during that week, and also it does certainly help you in buying.
They like to be a part of the picture.
That's right. It gives them as part of the picture, and it's certainly a morale-building thing to have these meetings every week.
This is what 8 dealers say about sales personnel.
Don, how do you feel about that?
Well, we have tried doing our own service for many years, 31 years to be exact, and today, starting last April, we went central service. And we're more than pleased. We are exclusive RCA Whirlpool in our area, and we feel that the RCA service agency is us, and we tell our customers that. They call us for service. They do not call RCA because they're 58 miles away. So as far as our customers are concerned, we're still servicing, but actually we're not, and it's good.
Don and Sherm, what would you think if you had a service department and could make a profit in it with the service department? Still get your reconditioning done. The boys help on deliveries. Now, we at our store, I happen to have my profit and loss statement here, we make $29.66 gross profit after labor and parts cost.
You're smarter than I am.
Me too.
I couldn't do it. I could take the same time, Tom.
Why couldn't you?
I'm not smart enough. I could take the same time that you're spending on that, fiddling around with that service,
I don't
and I could put it in sales and work into promotions. And another thing, I think you're making whenever you talk service to a customer, you're doing nothing but making her wonder about service. Well, am I going to have service with this guy? He's scaring me to death.
Oh, Sherm, you must put it over to the customer. These factories do a good enough job of making people think that they're not ever going to require service. I think that it's up to us when we're selling to indicate that this thing is a very complex thing, particularly television, and that they may require service, and that somebody's going to be there to back it up. If you duck the issue completely, you're kind of
hoodwinking?
Well, I know you wouldn't do that, sir.
Well, sure, you know, one thing, too, that I found out, sir, I think I'm about the youngest dealer here in sales, actually, on the panel. But I found that service was definitely a help in helping me build and come up through the ranks with it. One of the biggest things that I found, it allows me to get the bigger dollar on the item than I'd say than the majority of the other dealers using factory service. We can charge a higher dollar, make a better gross margin of profit, and still come out much better than it gives you the actual contact with the customer. It's like a personal relationship. And a lot of people now that I have found, most of them are going into what they call a second appliance. They've already had their initiation, especially in laundry, and they found that the biggest factor there was good service. I mean, without it, what good is a washing machine if you wait 5 to 7 days for a service department to come out and get it running for you? And if you can get out within 24 to 48 hours, you will maintain a customer and she'll come back to you for that second appliance or many, many more.
Earl, let me ask you, what percentage of sales do you feel you can attribute to the existence of your own service department?
Well, I'd attribute my complete growth to it, but actually, like Mort says, I contribute a good 40 to 50%.
How
Due
many?
to our sales, our service department. I'd say at least that.
Can you pinpoint that you can get 30 to 40% on your...
Coming up from people that if I had a tape that would be running in that store when people walked in, 99%, I'd say a good 50% that would walk in and would say, we've heard about your service and that's one reason that we're here. Not our advertising. We don't do that much of a volume in advertising. 90 or 50% of those people that walk in say they've heard about our service department, and we're so proud of that department, we'll take them down into the basement and we'll run them through the complete department and show them.
Earl, how many service calls a day do you handle, roughly?
Somewhere around 60 to 70 calls a day, I'd say, on an average.
Tom, how's that fit in with you?
Just about, about 10 less. 40 to 50 is our... But our salesmen on the floor, time and time again, will they stress, when you buy this appliance, we're going to service it, and we've got the best darn service in Seattle. And that makes sense.
Do you have any, in view of the figures that Earl mentioned there, do you have any figures that you could come up with just as an approximation?
Well, mine isn't as much. I would say 20 to 25% I can attribute to our service
Directly
department.
attributable.
Well, I think in that case, he is a lot older than our organization. Our organization grew, as I say, from service, and we're still feeling the biggest half of our sales from our service department. And I think we will for a few years.
Excuse me, Leland, what are your thoughts along these lines?
Well, of course, we don't have access to centralized service, and I'm sure a lot of the small dealers that are going to see these films, that won't be a problem for them to make a decision whether they're going to have centralized service or their own service department. But I would like to make this point, that you've got to have service. You've got to have some kind of service to offer your customer, or you better get the hell out of the appliance business. That's all there is to it. You've got to have service to offer. And it doesn't make much difference how you do it. Now, Earl over there, he built his business on service, and that's what makes his business different than Sherm. But you just got to have service if you're going to sell appliances.
Well,
Go ahead,
Sherm has got service.
That's right.
He has service. There's no discussion. I mean, no saying that he doesn't have service. He has a man. And I think that any business being built today, sales-wise, has got to have service. There's no question about it, in one form or another.
Sherm, have you noticed by going to centralized service that you increased your sales? Have you been able to make more profit because of it? Now, these other gentlemen have indicated that their profit picture has looked a lot better because they've developed their own service departments. What are you thinking?
Where he gains 20%, I lose 40%. Just fiddling around with the service. Have you ever had a mad woman on a Monday morning call you up and upset your whole sales for the whole day?
Don't let her do that. I've had a lot of mad women. And let me say that some of the maddest ones, when they are properly handled, if it wasn't for service, if we didn't require this service, there'd be no reason for my existence, my service department. By satisfying that woman and by having that man get there promptly, she appreciates our service, and she will remember the service she gets long after she forgets the price she paid for the product. I dare say you couldn't tell me what you paid for your automobile, and it's a major purchase. But if you're broke down sometime, or if you've had a minimum of inconvenience from waiting for your car, you're going to remember the name of the service agency and probably buy that same car at that same place the next time. Now, these are the only men, too, who are invited into our customers' homes. Your salesmen are not invited in, but my servicemen are in that home every day. They're looking around when they're fixing the television, see what kind of an old range they have. Or if they're fixing that washing machine in the basement, they get a glance at the refrigerator in the kitchen. And these men are the ones that provide us with the leads. Also, instead of building up, if a central service agency gets into a woman's home with an old automatic washer, or when it's been troublesome and the bill's going to run 60, 70, 85 hours, you'll never know it. Maybe she spends the 85 and there's some other thing in it week goes bad, like an old automobile. If you put the rear end in, maybe the engine's bad. And then after she spends that money, she finds it's not operative or she's going to have more trouble. Then she goes to trade it into you. She said, I just spent 75 hours on it. She still can't get any more trade. My service department would say, I don't believe you should put in any more money into this automatic washer, that you'd better trade it. You can still get a little bit of allowance on it, and you would be cheaper if you would purchase a new one. And there's where we get our leads, and we think we're rendering a service to our customer, and I think maybe to the industry, because we're obsoleting this equipment faster. We're getting the faster trade-ins and getting people to buy things rather than put money in these old ones, because the new ones certainly have more features.
Sure, and don't you still get a mad woman on the phone on a Monday morning anyway, even though you don't do the service on the machine? Say you've sold it to her and she gets it out there, and even though the factory service has hooked it up and it's not operating properly, do you think that a majority of them may call factory service, but there's still women that'll call you because she purchased it to you?
Sure, we get them.
So you're not eliminating that part of the operation of it.
I'm eliminating a greater part of it, however.
Well, a greater portion.
My salesmen are on the floor selling and not taking service calls because the service is in the hands of an expert. And in our instance, we have the finest serviceman. He's an expert at it. He concentrates on it. He works on it. He knows how to take when he works on a television or a washer, to lay a canvas on the floor. And his gentlemen people, they're out at our store working with us all the time. But believe me, when you do have centralized service, the mistake and the problem comes in not working close enough with them. Give them, well, let me put it this way. So the guy says centralized service, and you just give him the bum ones, just the ones that are problems.
Well, no, actually, if you subscribe to centralized service, they get everything anyway, all the way across the board.
Right, that's the secret of the success of the
well,
thing.
you work
Don't
close.
Just give him the ones that are no good. Say you would help you.
No, say you would work close with the service manager of the organization. That does not put you close to the outside servicemen, and they're the ones that are representing you in the home, but I bet a dollar bill there isn't one of them that knows it. We don't know who sold that machine or where it came from.
We work very close. We have the same man every day. He's in our store every day.
Well, you're in an outside area, but he's in a metropolitan area where most factory servicemen do not even know who sold the machine to that customer, and they have his interests at heart and nothing whatsoever.
How about the time element? Supposing a woman buys a washing machine from you or somebody that doesn't have their own service, and they call up on a Monday morning at 9 o'clock and say, my washer's busted. I have 4 children, and I got to get this washing out this morning. Supposing you call centralized service and he said, okay, I'll be over tomorrow morning. What happens then?
He'd more likely say, I'll be there Thursday.
Be there Thursday. Whereas a man that handles his own service can be there. You can route a man there within an hour.
Maybe.
What if your serviceman's sick? You've only got one man.
Well, we have 2.
All right, what if they're both sick?
Then you
Then he'd grab the 2 bucks.
Those are the views of various dealers on the panel with respect to handling service.